Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett. I think we're finally starting to get over the daylight savings change. That is just brutal. I always thought that the hardest, I'm going to go into space time. I always thought that the hardest week or hardest day of working was like the Monday after daylight savings, but oh my gosh, Sunday after daylight savings. I mean, the Friday after daylight savings. It was crazy how tired everybody I knew was. And when we went out on Friday night, it was just like people were driving like crazy. They were just insane. Um, it's just one of those things, like it's tough. It's really tough. I did notice that like a lot of my routines and stuff really needed to change, because it's like lighter later and stuff like that. And PM start. And daylight savings did seem to be a really good mechanism for me, like kind of changing mine. There's an almond for you, Rhett. Even Rhett, like last week, just was not into it. Like she was very, very tired. Just in, that was just us. But I think we have our routing and our all that um, squared away. It seems to be working really well. Um, the like filtering and everything happens, and there doesn't seem to be any weird console logs or anything. Now, we got that working yesterday, and it's very, very, very possible that today, that there'll be something. Like sometimes after you do a new build and restart and everything, things are a little different. Not always, not. It's rare. It's super rare. It used to be pretty common, like in Angular 9 and Angular 10, but now it isn't. I don't think we need any of these things. But so what we're trying to get to is this. So we have a test. Defined a test. So the test would come in here. I haven't built the test, but I've figured it out. And we definitely don't want all these um, console logs when we check things in. And so then I want to go to animations, and then I want to go to here, click on this. Then I want to hit delete, and then I want to hit back, and I want that to not have anything in it. That's the test. Right now, it isn't doing that. The other thing that we really have to keep in mind is that we built this concept. Like we did this deep dive concept of routing, and we said that this first is always, always, always going to be the layout, and the second one is always going to be the layout detail. And then, but that absolutely breaks our whole update concept because update, let's see, oop, add visual, because when you do an update, our our route is update, which is the layout, but then this is the ID. This shouldn't be the ID. This should probably be the entity, the layout type. So this is like for visual. This is would be the layout for visualization, ST visualization, right? Which that's kind of nice. I just realized that if we tie our routing up there to our types, then that means that we can um, that sort of blocks these ST types. Like if there's anything we ever want to edit, it's going to have an ST type. Like the we're locking in that architecture. Secondarily, what is it? It's 8:50, so I got 5 more minutes. Um, Secondarily, and more importantly, it will give us sort of a way to have like an update and then say, hey, I want to update the meshes. So you could say like update st dash mesh and then /2, and then that would be all the meshes for visualization too. But then that brings up a good point, or a point to me that I was thinking this morning was, well, how do I, like, if I just want to work on a mesh, if I just want to, I want a view that it update, but I want it to be mesh specific. Because if I'm only looking at meshes, maybe I don't want to see this big thing. Maybe I just want to see like the JSON for the mesh. And it was like, oh, okay, I could have the concept of edit. So then it would be edit, and if it's edit, then you get like a table that you can edit instead of like this. And then you could, and then the edit, the ID is the ID of the thing you want to edit, not the visualization that it becomes part of, right? So, um, I guess edit, actually, now that I think about it more, edit is a single one-to-one ratio. You're only going to have one entity per edit ID, but you could have many entities per visualization ID because a visualization contains all those other things. So that is like just like a thing I think we really need. I think we do need a difference between updating things for a visualization and then updating things that are part of one or more visualizations. Those are two different things. So that whole concept came into just being a idea that just I stumbled upon. Um, so anyways, so that's that. So anyways, right now what we are doing is we still have 3 minutes. We are something. Okay, so we got this update. Oh, this delete. So when we hit delete, we want to be able to, we want for two things to happen. We want to actually delete animations, the animation itself, and we want to actually three things. We want to delete, well, and then we want to recycle the animation ID. So when we recycle, or we don't want to recycle, we want to put the animation ID in the recycling bin. Um, and so I think that's how that works. I can't remember how when you remove something from the animation listing. Now, just to be absolutely clear, removing something from the animation listing does not delete it. Okay, so we have to delete it first. And Lista would be a perfect example of something that like a BA could write it up and say, hey, go ahead and delete it. And then, oh, this is how we're going to test it. And then all they do is pass the test. They don't actually delete it. That is very, very possible. And then that's a perfect example where you sort of bypass the natural path. So then you could end up making it almost like it could get to where it's impossible to update. So anyways, so now we got to figure out where this delete comes from. I don't have any idea. And and I think that's one like a really important thing is you really want to be able to um, change context to point where like there was a point where like my whole life was this delete. Like every 100% of my conscious being was all about how to delete, and now it's not even. I don't even remember how to do it anymore. And I think that is a very unfortunate thing because it's not. I don't think it's good for your brain, but it's like a sort of a thing you got to do, unfortunately. So, anyways, we have a button. Okay, so we got to figure out, I guess. This is app tabular layout. That's the that's what we're in. So I remember we have layouts. It's going to be in our components, right? So app tabular layout. There's our component. We want to keep it when it's like angled like this, like in italics, that means it will go away if you do that. Now I want to close all the other, close others. All right, so this is our button. So it says delete renderer item. All right, so now we're going to go over here. We're going to find delete render item. Delete renderer item. All right, so here's where we delete a renderer. So the question is this is still in the component. Would the renderer be the one, like who tells the animation service? I believe we have an ST animation service. Who tells the ST animation service to delete stuff? Would that happen in the component or would that happen in the delete renderer service? It seems like the delete renderer service should probably like announce that it should publish that it deleted things, and it might. So let's go over there. So we'll go to implementation. I think that's what no, we want to go to definition. One day I'll learn the actual formal definition of definition versus implementation. Okay, so this one calls itself the oh no. Oh no. Okay, so this is the UI service. Okay, I think it does make sense for the UI service to, I guess what you would call is orchestrate the deletions. So I have this pruned visualizations by renderer IT. I don't know what this thing does. I guess we should go look. Go to definition. Okay, so this is in, oh, visualization servers. And it basically, I don't know. I don't know what this thing is doing. I wish I'd have given myself a nice comment of what I was even trying to do. But my suspicion is I was just trying to get shit working. So it's recyclable servers, recycle ID. Oh man, I'm very confused. Because delete renderer. So I created a freaking mess for myself there. So delete renderer takes the renderer ID, gets the renderer ID, it deletes. Oh, okay, so this actually deletes the camera as well, does it? Let's check that. Okay, so let's see. Entity, oops, data, entities, and then it's 8:56, so I gotta go here in a second. Add viz. So as oh yeah, that it does in fact delete the camera in the renderer service. We'll hit back. Yeah, the camera is gone, and now we want to get rid of the animation. And we're doing so delete camera by ID. So it gets the camera service. How does it get the ID though? Okay, so it has its renderer. So I don't actually think that now that I think about it, our animations, a renderer doesn't have an animation on it. A renderer has a mesh on it, and a mesh has an animation on it. And not only that, but in the future, other things will have animations. So I think what has to happen first is the mesh has to be deleted. And when the mesh is deleted, then it goes over the animations. So I guess the renderer should only delete the camera, the renderer itself, the camera ID, the scene, and that's it. And then the scene should delete. Does a renderer? Yeah, a renderer has its own camera. Um, and then the scene. Oh, actually, the scene. Okay, so the renderer doesn't have scenes. I mean, doesn't have meshes. The scene has meshes. So we next is to delete the scene, and then is supposed to delete the meshes, which then will delete the animations. And this is a perfect example of like. So I have a story that says delete meshes, animations, but I can't really do that without deleting the scenes. And I can't really do that without deleting the mesh. And I can't really do that without deleting the scene. And so that sort of like logic of that cascading logic of, hey, this is going to delete this, which is going to delete that, that can be insanely difficult to um, mentally view in the future, especially as we start to have like different pieces having animations and stuff like that. So this is, yeah, kind of weird. So if st render delete camera by ID, so the next one is to delete the scene ID. But anyway, so if I was working for a company, I'd be like, okay, we need to it's going to be very difficult to give a good time estimate on how long this is going to take because it requires a whole bunch of other infrastructure to be done ahead of time, which are actual whole stories or issues in and of themselves. But anyways, delete scene, which should delete meshes, which then should, and really it should delete everything, right? It should delete scene. Okay, so all it has is meshes though, which then should delete animations. And that's what we're going to try to start doing. Happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye.